right, good morning, everyone. I figure I said I was going to start at 9:50, a little earlier than I expected. I said yesterday I know it'd be about 10:15 or so, but I figure just go ahead and get started here. I'll wait to jump in at 9:50, give everybody a chance to get in here. If there's any issues with video or audio, please say so in the chat. As always, the chat's open if you have any questions or anything like that. Um, so just feel free to use that. Um, while I'm here again, since I'm noticing these are getting starting to reach a wider audience. So kind of the point of this is to, I'm showing you, I'm presenting you the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center here. I'm sticking in their forecast, so I'm just kind of explaining a little bit of what's going on behind that. Also, to point out again, just kind of a little disclaimer here. I'm just so everyone knows, I'm doing this. While it is true I do work for the National Weather Service and all that, I'm doing this on an unofficial basis. So this is just on my time here, right here, like separate from my job. So just want to say that for the record there. I have the little disclaimer in the video description, but just wanted to make that clear that like I said, I'm doing this just kind of on my own time, just kind of for friends, family, and whoever else is interested or watching. So anyway, with that out of the way. I'm showing 950, so I'll go ahead and start looking at the data here. What we're looking at, this is the radar loop out of the Slidell, Louisiana Weather Service radar on there, and wow, what a difference 24 hours has made with this hurricane. We went from, I think this time yesterday, we were still maybe Category 2. I don't remember if it was still a Category 1 or up to a 2, but it was a 1 or 2. Now we're sitting at 150 miles per hour, more or less at the right at a high-end Category 4. This is very close to Hurricane Laura in terms of intensity. Hurricane Laura, of course, the one that absolutely devastated the Lake Charles area last year. And honestly, looking at radar and satellite, it is not showing any signs of weakening. It's still several hours away from landfall. Hopefully we'll see it slow down some. But even if it were to start weakening a little bit before landfall, we're still looking at almost certainly a Category 4 landfall with here. I think at this point, we're only talking about the difference in, is it going to be 150 mile per hour Category 4? Or, will it be like 135 mile per hour Category 4? But either way, it's looking like this is going to be absolutely devastating for places like Plaquemines Parish, Grand Isle, parts of Lafourche and Terrebonne, and even probably further inland than that. As we know with Louisiana's geography, it's a stretch to even call that marsh in some areas down there. You have the combination of coastal erosion, the sea level rise that's been observed there. To quote one of my good friends, he described it as a problem of too much water and not enough dirt. That's a very good way of looking at that in terms of why we're expecting just a catastrophic storm surge down in southeast Louisiana there. But jumping more into kind of the data, we're already seeing wind gusts of 52 miles per hour at Galliano. I apologize. I don't remember the exact pronunciation of that. In southern Lafourche Parish, like I said, already gusting well over 50 miles per hour. We'll probably see that ramp up further. We've seen some wind gusts to hurricane force already in Plaquemine Parish. There was a platform out here that was reporting some hurricane force winds earlier. Now, these offshore platforms, these are obviously very high above the water. This is showing an elevation of 427 feet at Mississippi Canyon here. So that's going to read very high compared to what you see even on these coastal observation sites, which the coastal observation sites are typically going to be a height of 10 meters above the ground. It's about 33 feet. But even inland, I have pulled up, if I can switch over to Google Chrome here real quick. So there's a satellite view. We'll come back to that. But these are surface observations from New Orleans Lakefront Airport. And New Orleans Lakefront, the most recent one that came in was showing wind gusts of 52 miles per hour there. So already gusting to tropical storm force in the New Orleans area. And that's just going to continue to go downhill as we go through the day. Going to continue to get stronger wind gusts with that, probably looking at hurricane force there. So I just wanted to show that of how far out these tropical storm force and hurricane force winds are extending. That's something I've been reading the forecast discussions from the Hurricane Center over the last 24 hours. I mean, really since this thing formed, but I've been noticing over the last 24 hours, they've been remarking a lot as the hurricane hunters have been flying into the storm that not only has it been getting stronger, but that radius of hurricane force and that radius of tropical storm force winds have expanded. Put another way, the storm is getting bigger. So it's getting bigger and it's getting stronger. Also, the size of the storm, that's another critical factor in the storm surge. We did not see a lot of storm surge, if you recall, with Hurricane Laura. I mean, yes, there was certainly along the immediate coastline, but not the kind of storm surge that has been associated with, in fact, even weaker storms than Hurricane Laura was, because Hurricane Laura was such a small and compact hurricane at landfall. If you recall, they had absolutely devastating winds in Lake Charles over in the Lafayette area, just gusted tropical storm force, just 60 miles away. So the size of the hurricane is certainly going to affect the amount of storm surge. Anyway, I'll switch over now to the True Color satellite image product, which is just kind of a fancy visible satellite image. Right here, the little plus signs you see on there, those are lightning strikes on there. And one very concerning thing, not only do we have almost a perfectly formed eye, you could see the very tall thunderstorms that are surrounding the eye wall. They're, just very organized, very potent looking hurricane. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, this is about as good as they can look on satellite. But I'm also seeing lots of lightning in the eye wall and in the core of the hurricane. You get that. What causes even lightning to form in the first place means that you have ice crystals present in the thunderstorm updraft. And as those rub together, it creates, the static electricity. And so then you get the lightning strikes like that. And so what it's telling me is that we're having very intense thunderstorms, very intense convection in that eye wall, very strong updrafts in there. And there's been studies done that actually show that when you have a lot of lightning present in the eye wall of a hurricane, it is often means it is still strengthening at this point. Could we see, a lot of people are probably wondering, could this be a Category 5 hurricane at landfall? It could. I don't want to rule that out. Well, in fact, we should have a new Hurricane Center advisory here momentarily if it's not already out. But regardless, I mean, like I said kind of at the beginning of this, we're looking at least 130, 135 at landfall. Whether we're talking Category 4 or Category 5 is really just a matter of record keeping at that point. So we'll switch over now to the Hurricane Center webpage. We should have a new advisory out. Oh yeah, there's another little tropical storm and depression way out in the Atlantic. I don't believe either one is supposed to be a concern for land. So here it is, the new advisory. They kept it at 150 miles per hour, still a high-end Category 4 hurricane. And just to jump to the forecast discussion to look at some of the stuff they're talking about, they found winds that support a Category 4 intensity. That's kind of how they do these discussions. The first paragraph, they're usually going to describe, what's going on with the hurricane in there. You might see this phrase a lot in there, SFMR winds. That's a sensor on board the aircraft that can measure the wind speed on there. So what they're saying is we found we had flight level winds as well as these sensor winds that support an intensity of 130 knots or 150 miles per hour on there. They do note that the pressure seems to have bottomed out and the latest pressure went up slightly. So that's a good sign. It doesn't appear to still be strengthening. They're saying that it supports a minimum pressure of 933. That's still obviously very intense. We're still a very powerful Category 4. But, if there's one piece of good news right there. They note, the satellite radar presentation is very impressive, 15 nautical mile wide eye, very well defined. And then they're seeing a secondary eye wall that has formed, which is probably helping cause it to level off. I don't want to switch back to the radar on there, but you could kind of see that if you look on radar, you'll see the inner eye wall, and then there's kind of another intense band out from there. And a lot of times when you get that secondary eye wall, it can cut off the inner eye wall and cause its intensity kind of level off. They're saying now the eye wall is approaching the coast of Louisiana. They're not expecting any additional strengthening. Right now, however, again, it's still a very powerful Category 4 hurricane. They do expect it to weaken rapidly as it moves on shore. That's a good thing. That's going to limit how far inland the severe winds are going to penetrate. However, anywhere in southeast Louisiana is still going to see intense winds. As far inland as Baton Rouge, certainly on there, despite that quick weakening. In terms of the track, they're beginning to see it slow down. They're talking about it's going to begin making that more northward turn here, more north-northwest for the next 12 to 24 hours. So the track forecast still looks pretty good. They said that the new forecast track is basically unchanged from the previous one, and we'll go ahead and pull that up there. The new track. So here it is. I'm going to do this forecast length 3 days because I think, that'll zoom the map in there. And they're pretty much showing it making landfall. It looks like just to the west of Grand Isle, talking landfall near around like Port Fourchon. They're moving across Lafourche Parish, with the center eventually probably moving across parts of Assumption, Ascension, East Baton Rouge Parish. So it's looking at this point, the eye is probably going to move directly over the Baton Rouge area. That's going to put New Orleans right in the right front eye wall, which is very concerning as that's where the most intense winds occur. So it's looking like the strongest winds are going to be really moving across Terrebonne, Lafourche, Jefferson, Plaquemines. I would even say Orleans Parish, St. Charles, some of the river parishes right there, and then even up into eastern, certainly the eastern portions of the Baton Rouge area, Ascension, East Baton Rouge, Livingston parishes eventually. So it looks like, as just an aside here, it's pretty remarkable how well the track forecast came together for the storm. It's like, yes, there has probably been that eventual shift. A couple days ago, we're talking about, just west of Baton Rouge, between Lafayette and Baton Rouge. Well, it looks like they're going to get it probably within about 30 or 40 miles, 2 days in advance. So that's just a testament to how good the track forecasting has become for many of these hurricanes. Not all of them are the same. Not all of them are that highly confident, but this one certainly was. What's even more remarkable, though, is the intensity forecast. Despite the Hurricane Center, I remember I showed yesterday them going on the high end of the forecast guidance. It looks like even that might have been slightly low compared to what's happening. Now, if we look at some of the other products here, just while I'm on the Hurricane Center page, I won't go through the estimated time of arrival graphics because the tropical storm force winds, as we saw in the real-time observations, are already on shore. We're already seeing tropical storm force gusts in New Orleans, probably going to be arriving in Baton Rouge later today. Here's the forecast rainfall graphic. Very concerning here because we're showing the widespread 10 to 15 across southeast Louisiana, and look at that. They're showing 15 to 20 in the greater New Orleans area. As we all know, they have to pump the water out of New Orleans, so that 15 to 20 inches is going to be very worrying. We'll run through the models real quick just to show how they've pretty much come together on the track. Right here, note that this was the run of the model last night, and it's certainly underestimating the pressure. This is pretty much now. Is right here. It's showing 961. As we just saw, it's actually 933 millibars. That's because the GFS and European models, the resolution of the model, the spatial, because what they do is they break the model down to little grid points on it. And the grid points are about, I believe, 10 to 15 kilometers. I can't remember the exact resolution off the top of my head because they're always improving it. They're always trying to make it finer and finer, but it's somewhere around there, like 10 to 15. And so sometimes these models, or most of the time, these models cannot pick up really small features on them. So it's going to miss that very tight core of the Hurricane, but it's still a useful model because what we look at is, kind of what's the bulk characteristics, what's the track of it. So that's what we're doing here. And there it is, just like the Hurricane Center forecast, showing landfall near Port Fourchon. One thing to note, the GFS remains fast on there. That is something to note, is just looking at what time do you expect it to make landfall. It's probably going to be later today. I think it's going to be just based on the Hurricane Center forecast, and we can switch back over to that real quick. They're showing the landfall. This dot right here is actually 7 p.m. This evening, so it looks like even before sunset, probably this afternoon, which is why it didn't have much more time to intensify, plus those other things they discussed. Now going back to the models, they're showing the eye then, like I said, going kind of across Lafourche Parish, across Assumption Parish, and then almost right across Baton Rouge. Right here, they're showing this is 1 a.m. tonight. The eye of the hurricane, pretty much right over the city of Baton Rouge at 1 a.m. So timing for when you might see the worst conditions on this for the New Orleans area, probably beginning later this afternoon, 3-4 p.m. If you're in the Baton Rouge area, probably getting into the southern reaches of that Ascension Parish right around sunset, 6, 7, 8 p.m., with that continuing through the evening and then spreading north of Baton Rouge overnight. So that's what it looks like is going to be the timing for this. I'll quickly go to the European model on here, which is pretty much showing the exact same thing. Once again here, 7 p.m. It might be a little bit slower than the GFS model. It might show the worst in New Orleans around 7 p.m., the worst in the Baton Rouge area around midnight. So, there's a little bit of an error bar there, but in general, let's say New Orleans, the worst is going to be late this afternoon through the evening. Baton Rouge is going to be kind of starting as we get into the evening hours, with the worst, kind of continuing through around midnight, maybe even a little after that. That's just the worst conditions, but the tropical storm force winds are going to persist for a while. Again, switching back over to the forecast cone, the center will be in southern Mississippi by tomorrow morning, be in northern Mississippi by late tomorrow evening there. So you're going to see those bad winds continuing, certainly in the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas, at least into parts of Monday morning. They're probably not, even if the winds are coming down, there's still going to be a lot of rain, of course, as we saw in those models. Now, another thing I want to look at is we're well within the range of the high-resolution models, and those models aren't the best for looking like the exact track of the storm, but we can get an idea of like what they're expecting in terms of rainfall. This model I've got up right here, this is something called the High-Resolution Ensemble Forecast System, and what it does is it takes a lot of these high-resolution models and kind of looks at where they're kind of agreeing on. In this particular case, I'm looking at 48-hour accumulated rainfall on here, and they're kind of looking at where do the models most agree on the heaviest rain. That's what this is good at right here. And it's showing a 15 to 20 inch rainfall band, and this looks very reasonable because it's showing it just to the right of the eye wall, or just to the right of the eye of the storm, extending from Grand Isle up across southern Lafourche through St. Charles and Jefferson parishes into kind of the western portions of greater New Orleans. And then if you look at the map, you'll see this pink area right here. That's actually more than 20 inches of rain. It's literally off the scale on this map here. The color bar only goes up to 20 inches on there. So what this basically is telling me is southeast Louisiana, certainly pretty much the entirety of the New Orleans area down to Houma, you're looking 10 to 15 looks like a solid bet. 10 to 15 inches. A lot of people are going to see more than 15 inches. Some people are going to see more than 20 inches of rain. That is certainly going to cause some major flash flooding problems. Particularly concerned about New Orleans. Again, we all know how they have to pump the water out. Another problem with this is the rivers and streams are going to be unable to drain out because you have the storm surge that's coming in, actually pushing water inland. So those rivers, I'm not necessarily talking about like the Mississippi River, it's so large. I'm talking about, you have, the name's escaping me, the one that goes down through Thibodaux, through Lafourche Parish. It might just be the Lafourche River. But that one, or Bayou Lafourche, that's it. That one, streams like that, the Amite River, the Comite River, especially some of those that tend to have very quick responses to heavy rainfall, like that, they're going to have trouble with their water being able to drain out through the normal way because of the storm surge. And then on top of that, they're going to be getting all this heavy rain. A couple of the models that go into this ensemble forecast system, you have the high resolution rapid refresh model. Again, we're looking at the 48-hour accumulated. It's showing 11 inches in downtown New Orleans, 12 inches on the North Shore, 4 in Baton Rouge. And that's the thing with this. We're probably going to see these very sharp gradients of rainfall where, there's going to be some areas that are, 4 to 6 inches of rain, and then just a matter of miles away, 10 inches of rain. I would not take this model right here, though, at face value. Again, these high-resolution forecast models, they're not best at handling the track of these hurricanes, but they kind of give us an idea. I like to think of this as what might it kind of look like. And so what I'm seeing here is there's definitely going to be areas that are getting over 12 inches of rain. If I inspect some of these values here, down around Grand Isle, you're saying 15, 17. I saw 26 inches somewhere, one of these pixels. So, again, I wouldn't say like, oh, this model says we're going to get 3.6 inches in Baton Rouge. Take that to the bank. That's not what this is saying. I'm just kind of looking at kind of what's the high end possible, and that axis of where the heaviest rain that could move around a little bit depending on where the exact track ends up being. But more or less, if you're to the right of where the eye of the storm makes landfall, you're probably looking at a foot of rain almost guaranteed. And then just another one of these high-resolution models to show you what I'm talking about, how you see, some big differences, almost 14 inches of rain in the New Orleans area. And then if I look down in this band, you see over 2 feet in some parts of Plaquemines and Jefferson parishes there and towards Lafourche Parish. Again, I wouldn't, take these models like, straight up at their face, but we're just saying, that's what the rainfall totals might look like to the to the east of the center. Then, again, I always like to close out with some of the hurricane warning products. I'm starting here. This is Ascension Parish. They're showing peak sustained winds of 55 to 75 with gusts to 90 miles per hour, which is similar to Hurricane Gustav on there. But again, they're still saying potential for wind gusts greater than 110 miles per hour. At this point, where does that exact strongest part of the eye wall track? That's something that we're almost watching in real time. How does that evolve on radar? The National Weather Service issues a product called an extreme wind warning. They already have one issued for the coast in southeast Louisiana, which that's where they're forecasting the strongest winds. I think they're actually saying, over, basically when they issue that product, they're saying wind gusts over 100 miles per hour. I don't recall the precise criteria for that, but I believe it's like over 100 miles per hour. And that's something you want to watch for. Again, I'll stress make sure you have the wireless emergency alerts enabled on your phone. That'll go off for the tornado warnings. That'll go off if they do certain flash flood warnings. On there, it's a good way to receive warnings. You can do it on iPhone and Android. As I said, if you have to right now, pause and make sure that's turned on, because that's a really good way. And even if you lose power, even if you have spotty cell service, that should still go off. So make sure you have that. Then continue to look at Ascension Parish. They're saying rainfall amounts an additional 10 to 15 with locally higher amounts for rainfall. Then I'll switch over to the New Orleans area. I believe I have this saved on here. That's kind of the east side of New Orleans. We'll go closer to downtown. Here we go, downtown New Orleans. Pull up their hurricane warning text. They're showing 55 to 70 with gusts to 85. However, they're saying potential for greater than 110. Again, it's just going to depend on the exact track of where the eye wall goes, and we'll watch that unfold on radar over the next few hours. For rain, 10 to 15 locally higher amounts. So well into hurricane force winds for both the Baton Rouge area and the New Orleans area. Finally, I'll close out with Lafayette here. Lafayette's not looking quite as bad because we have seen that eastward track on it. So if I pull up the text, and I've noticed they've even downgraded the hurricane warning to tropical storm warning for Lafayette. 20 to 30 sustained with gusts to 60. Rainfall amounts 1 to 3 inches with locally higher amounts, so not nearly as bad over in the Lafayette area. Lafayette looks like it's going to dodge this one right here. We're mainly going to be talking about Baton Rouge and New Orleans for this. Now the last thing I'll show on here, I'll just do a little plug for this. I am on Twitter, twitter.com/jgodwinwx. You don't have to have an account to just monitor my feed. I'll be posting stuff intermittently through the day as I see things on here. I know it's been over 14 hours, but I'm going to be watching things a little more closely today because things are going to start evolving a little more quickly. You know, we're watching radar, so you can follow me there. But for official information, obviously stick to your local media. As I said, make sure you have those wireless emergency alerts turned on, things like that on there, those are official ways. But I'll try to post a few things on there. Again, even if you don't have an account, you can just follow along as I post stuff. But anyway, that's all I have. Good luck and Godspeed, honestly, to everybody that is in the path of this storm. This is one for the history books for sure for Southeast Louisiana. This will probably be my last live stream for this event, since it looks like it's going to be pretty well inland tomorrow. So, like I said, good luck to everyone out there, and thank you for tuning in this morning.